If Robert E. Lee was the shining example of Southern aristocracy, Hiram Ulysses Grant represented the hard-working and self-reliant nature of the Midwest. Like Lee, Grant had attended West Point, where he became Ulysses S. Grant. He'd also served in Mexico. But unlike Lee, Grant had been unsuccessful after the Mexican War. Grant worked in a leather shop as a clerk before the Civil War began in 1860, one of many unsuccessful business ventures. But the new war brought out the best in Grant. Given a small command in Ohio in 1861, he soon gave the Union much-needed victories at Belmont, Fort Henry, and Fort Donelson. These victories made Grant famous, and his message of unconditional and immediate surrender to the Southern commanders gave the Union an inspirational mantra. In southern Tennessee in 1862, Grant was attacked relentlessly at Shiloh, but held on and once again gave the Union a victory and control of the Confederate state of Tennessee.
The art of war is simple enough. Find out where your enemy is, get at him as soon as you can, strike him as hard as you can, and keep moving. U.S. Grant.
With Grant's capture of Vicksburg and subsequently the Mississippi River in 1863, President Lincoln was ready for him to come east and take over the Army of the Potomac.
Grant is not a retreating man. Gentlemen, the Army of the Potomac has a head. Robert E. Lee.
Lincoln promoted Grant to lieutenant general, the same rank George Washington had in the Revolutionary War. Grant and Lincoln then designed the Overland Campaign to finish off Lee and the South. Grant's good friend, William Tecumseh Sherman, would take Atlanta and burn Georgia, while Grant himself would lead the Army of the Potomac into Virginia. Grant ordered his army to attack Lee's Army of Northern Virginia relentlessly, in one bloody battle after another. The Wilderness, Spotsylvania, Cold Harbor. By the time the two armies reached the siege at Petersburg, south of the Confederate capital of Richmond, Grant had suffered over 55,000 casualties. This high cost meant much criticism in the North and gained Grant a new nickname, the Butcher. But it had also forced Lee to retreat into his trenches, his army on the verge of defeat. 9 months of trench warfare around Petersburg followed and cost Grant another 40,000 casualties. Lee was forced from his trenches in April of 1865, and on April the 9th, surrounded and his situation hopeless, Lee surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse. The Southern aristocrat Lee, in full military dress, surrendered to the former store clerk in the parlor of the McLean House. Grant's military success would carry him to the White House in 1869, where he would once again work hard to bring the nation back together.